This is why I know that the debate is not going to happen with Pastor and our brother Pete Rambo. And here's why. Because Christianity has so much holes and so much hypocrisy in it that you don't even need a Hebrew Israelite to even expose the hypocrisy of Christianity. I found an atheist. Can you believe this? This is a person that don't even believe in God. And an atheist was able to find the hypocrisy. I think a lot of atheists, to be honest with you, are people who was once Christianity, and they end up turning from God because they saw the hypocrisy in Christianity. And because of that, they just say, you know something, they believe in no God, because it looks like Christianity just picks and choose what they want to pick and just do whatever they want. So if they're going to do that, then I'm just going to just say, I don't believe in God, and I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And so this atheist looked like he's been listening to Pastor Dow, or he's just been reading the book. But this guy is going to an atheist. Guys, the pastor has talked about this stuff. You guys can see it, but I'm going to show you that an atheist was able to be able to determine what biblical marriage looked like. He did a better job than Christians. So I'm going to let it play, and if I hear something, I'll stop it. But I'm going to let you hear this atheist describe biblical marriage. Now, I don't prescribe to his channel or anything like that. I was just doing some research. So I'm not just, but I think he's on point. But then he also brings in stuff that I don't agree. And I'm going to show you why I don't agree. But guess what? He's saying that if this is what Christianity is doing, then why can't we not add this in here? Like, you know, Skittles type of relationship. I'll just leave it as that. But let's listen.
If there's one thing we've learned from conservative Christians over the past few decades, it's that marriage is always supposed to be between one man and one woman. Or, as they now tell us, one biological man and one biological woman. Never two men, never two women, definitely never anyone trans, because trans people don't exist, and never any other combination, you freaks. One man, one woman, that's what God intended, and it's been that way for thousands and thousands of years, all the way back to the beginning of the universe. Now, it's always interesting when right-wing evangelicals make that argument for two reasons, one that's modern and one that's ancient. First, it's really easy to find examples of vocal conservative Christians today who don't follow these rules. Like, at all. Sometimes it's one man and one woman and one male escort you secretly meet up with on.
Stop. Who's that guy? That's not Jimmy Baker. That's another guy. Who's this guy?
It's Ted Haggard.
Ted Haggard. This is a guy that's a pastor. I'm telling you, he was hard on homosexuality. Hard. But then behind, he's having homosexual relationship. Messing with little boys or something, or just having, I think, just gay relationship. Gay. Yeah, he was just gay. And so this is what I'm talking about, stage players. He's a stage player. He's an actor. He is a Christian. He was big on TBN. Big. He's more acceptable than me, who keeps the Shabbat. Christianity will be more forgiving to Ted Haggard for the things that he's done than me keeping the Sabbath and trying to live a righteous life. I told you, in Spain, they were killing Hebrew Israelite for keeping the Shabbat, for keeping the commandments of Yah. See, Ted Haggard is a forgiven man in Christianity, but not somebody like me who's keeping the Sabbath. And I don't care if I'm not forgiven the Christian. I'm telling you, that is how wicked Christianity is. That's how hypocritical they are. And this atheist is calling it out. Man, I'm like, dang, he's calling him out.
It's funny how because these are the same conservative Christian type of people that would bring the argument against the Catholic Church of pedophilia, but then they're the ones still doing something unlawful.
Yep. Keep it playing.
On the side. Sometimes it's one man and one woman and one pool boy that you enjoy watching from the corner of your room while he goes to town on your wife.
Stop.
And you know what?
Stop. So that's Jerry Falwell Jr. This is the president. I don't know if he's still the president, but the president of the largest Christian school in America. This was founded by his father, called Liberty University. I repeat, Liberty University. It's the largest evangelical Christian church, Christian university in America. I don't know, maybe in the world, maybe. It's the largest. They got their Division I, they got football, I'm talking about the largest. And this man is okay with a pool guy banging his woman, and he's sneaking and taking a peek at it. Are you hearing this?
Sickening.
This is, bro. But once again, me keeping the Shabbat is wrong, but this guy, what he's doing is perfectly fine. I wonder if he's still the president of Liberty. Who's the president of Liberty? If he's still I'm gonna look this up real quick. Hold on. Who's the Hey, all right. Hey Siri, who's the president of Liberty University? Oh my God. Oh, sorry. I think he was formerly. Let me see.
President?
Huh?
Dr. Dondi Costin.
Okay. Okay. He must have. Okay.
Well, actually, he just started this year. So what was?
Wow. So he just started this year.
I don't know who it was before though.
Anyway, but this was the president of Liberty University doing all this stuff. And once again, Christian conservative. And trust me, I was a conservative. I was a Christian conservative. I was a Republican card carrying member. Paid my dues. Paid my Republican dues. Not anymore. I came out. When I say I came out, I can honestly say I have come out of her. Like the book says, I have come, and I'm still coming out. Still working on coming all the way out. But I've got rid of a lot of the legal contracts. I've come out of her. Diggy, you can testify, right?
Yep.
Coming out of her. I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world. So there's things I just don't do anymore because I'm no longer a part of that stuff. I go in there, do what I got to do, and I come back. I'm back with my community, back with the people of Yah. But this is Jerry Farwell and his wife, Becky. That's the type of sick stuff that they be doing. And these are Christians. Respect it. Go back a little bit. I want to hear how he talks about them. I just wanted to tell you, but look it up, Liberty University. I know these people may not mean that to you guys, but
sometimes it's one man and one woman and one pool boy that you enjoy watching from the corner of your room while he goes to town on your wife. And you know what? That would be fine if you didn't spend so much time telling people how immoral that sort of thing was, or had rules in place to make sure students at the university you run never did anything sexual with someone they weren't straight married to. Sometimes it's one man and one woman and multiple massage therapists.
There's another guy. What's his one? Ravi? What's his name? Can you get the
Ravi Zacharias?
Now he's passed away now, but when he passed away, all this stuff started coming out, and he was doing all of this stuff that I'm telling you, it's mind blowing. Like these was respected people in the Christian community. Founders of big institutions, I don't know, colleges, seminaries, or whatever. And then they found out this guy was living dirty.
Yeah, sounds like he had a concubine on the side. But
yeah.
Preaching against it makes him a hypocrite.
But if he was just practicing biblical marriage, he wouldn't have to hide. See, our shepherd, no one can ever come back and say, well, pastor was this. Well, he had this many women. We know that. He's practicing. He's doing what Jacob did. He's doing what Abraham did. He's doing what Moshe did. He's doing what King David did. So what's the big deal? He's doing what Gideon. I mean, what are you talking about? See, pastor's not doing stuff on the side. See, everybody knows that's his woman. Yep, that's his concubine. That's his woman. You see what I'm saying? That's his seed. See, there's no one living in secrets here. So you're not going to hear anything new like, oh, but these people, because they believe in this false narrative of traditional marriage, one man, one woman only. Now, because they forced themselves into this little corner that they didn't have to, the traditions of men, the commandments of men. Now they go on the side and they be doing some crazy stuff, sinful stuff, like real sinful stuff, homosexual relationship.
Yeah,
man, I tell you, but he probably still got a good honorable death in spite of all that he did, But if he kept the Shabbat, oh shoot, that's a whole nother story. Why? What's the difference? One is because I keep the commandments. So yeah, the other one is the traditional man because they got to keep their heroes alive. All right, keep on playing, but yeah, go back a little bit. But this Rabbi Zechariah, woo! I used to listen to
one woman and multiple massage therapists were just pressured into being with you. I could go on. The people who regularly tell the world about the true definition of marriage are often the same people breaking those rules in private.
Stop.
More strong.
See, pastor can talk about biblical marriage. Pastor can talk about things that there's a sin, homosexual marriage, all of these, the Skittle factory, whatever you want to call, whatever they be doing. But we can speak about those stuff because guess what? We're living it. We believe in biblical marriage, not traditional marriage. And so because we believe in biblical marriage, we can speak against homosexuality. We can speak against all this transgender and all these different things that they got going on out there. We can speak against that because we live in according to the book. This man will have a hard time doing the same thing he's doing with Christian to doing with our shepherd or us here at Straightway Truth Ministry. He will have a hard time doing that. But with Christianity, it's so easy picking that even an atheist can see the hypocrisy in Christianity. So I already know they're not going to do a debate. Go do a debate with this atheist. Go prove this atheist that he's wrong. We'll come back and back this guy up based on his biblical knowledge on what biblical marriage is. We're about to hear an atheist tell us what biblical marriage is. I'm like, dang. I'm like, it's Christianity is right. If I don't even know how old this video is, but I'm thinking like if atheists see it, I thought it was just, man, he sees it. It seemed like anybody can see it. Anyway, play it.
Wrongly, they tell you the definition, the more likely they don't follow it themselves. But let's go back even further, because their hypocrisy actually opens the door to a different discussion.
Hypocrites. He even said hypocrisy. That's Christian. That's what Yeshua says. Hypocrites. You voodoo vipers. That's what Christians are. Hypocrites. They just full of hypocrisy. Play it.
What does biblical marriage actually look like? Because for all the talk about what God wants marriage to be, the Bible actually includes a lot of different kinds of marriages. And not just different combinations for the purpose of saying they're wrong, but different combinations that are acceptable in the context of whatever you're reading. Wow. At least until someone later on says maybe we should put a stop to that. So I'm not saying the Bible is promoting these other kinds of marriages, but I do think it's important to mention those other types.
Wow.
Because straight...
No, you keep playing. I'm sorry. Let me calm down. I should mute myself. Go.
No, you're good.
Cis two-person marriages are often the exception in the Bible and not the rule. I should point out that several versions of this list have been posted
Go back.
Online.
What did he just say? He said one man, woman is an exception to the rule, not
those other types. Because straight, cis, two-person marriages are often the exception in the Bible and not the rule.
Keep playing.
I should point out that several versions of this list have been posted online for years, so you shouldn't have any trouble finding specific verses backing up what I'm saying if you so desire. Default marriages. We learn about Adam and Eve pretty early. And in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, the Bible talks about how a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. Of course, a couple of sentences later, there's a talking snake. So maybe we don't have to take all of this literally, but this is the traditional thinking. This is what we're all supposed to aspire to.
Okay, pause.
Now, whenever we
talk... guys, for you guys that are coming in, this is an atheist, okay? I'm just showing this. I don't believe everything he's saying, but this is an atheist perspective on what biblical marriage is. It sounds like he actually read the Bible or something. He doesn't prescribe to everything about it, but this is an atheist. So he said, oh yeah, we're going to take everything seriously. So just notice or disclaimer, this is an atheist talking about biblical marriage. Even he can see the hypocrisy in Christianity.
What he's really doing, he's mocking Christianity. So
Big
he's coming from a, what would you call
sarcastic. He's very sarcastic.
Yeah.
very cynical, just showing like Christians, explain this video away. Tell your little ones to explain this one away. And he is going to lay it down. Ooh, go.
Talk about default marriages in the Bible. There are also some additional rules that might go unmentioned, but still count. You shouldn't marry someone outside your faith. That bride better be a virgin, or else she could be stoned to death. That's a rule. I didn't make that up. I mean, the groom should be a virgin too, but let's admit no one really cares about that. Whatever the case, this is what conservative Christians generally think marriage must be for everybody. God has an opposite sex partner in mind for you, and you must save yourself for that person, and there are no other good options.
That's Christianity.
Except for all the other options.
That's Christianity. That's what they be promoting. One man, one woman only. It doesn't matter if there's more, when women outnumbers the men. Those women, they just got to figure. It doesn't matter if you have a brother and he dies and he left no seed. That's too bad. I'm married. I'm sorry. I can't fulfill the duty of the brothers. What they call it? The wife's brother's duty of they call it the Levirate law, right? Can't fulfill that. You see that? I mean, this is Christianity, but I love how this man is just showing the hypocrisy of Christianity. And he's not a Hebrew. He's not. This is an atheist. This is a man that don't believe in God at all. He believes in no God, which that's crazy in itself. But let's hear what he has to say.
Options that also appear in the Bible. Polygamous marriages.
Woo.
Now, sometimes the Bible strays from tradition, like Lamech, who married two women.
Oh, you see what they stray from what?
Tradition.
From tradition. So he's saying that when you have the one man woman, that the Bible strays from tradition. Traditions of what? Tradition of men. Traditional marriage. So once again, this is an atheist. Guys, bro, if you don't believe me, I know a prophet is not accepted in his own hometown. I get it. I get it. You guys call us, we're cults. We're this. We're not accepted in mainstream. But atheists, I know they're acceptable in mainstream. And you have an atheist, your own, in your own communities, calling you out, calling you hypocrites. Keep playing.
Ada and Zillah, or Esau, who had 3 wives, or Asher, who had 2. Gideon, a leader of the Israelites, had enough wives to bear him 70 sons. David, the guy who used a slingshot against Goliath, had 8 wives. There are other people with multiple wives, but the point is, there are a ton of biblical marriages that go beyond one man and one woman.
Stop.
Sometimes.
Are you hearing this, man? Is he an atheist? Did you hear what he said?
Yeah, he's using logic and reason.
Just using logic and reason, concrete. Just concrete. He's reading the book. He sees what the book says. He sees that it came from. Look. This is all he did. I'm thinking this is what he did. He took this thing where we call the Bible. He opened it up. He dissects. He's reading it, and he says, "Wow, okay, it looked like God accepts that." And that's why he calls it biblical marriage, because the information he's spewing out of his mouth, he got it from the Bible. He got it from the Bible. So that's why he's calling it biblical marriage, because he's reading it and that's what it says in here. But Christianity will tell you it's all done away with. They'll pick what they want to pick, cherry pick. I mean, bro, this is amazing. He's just using logic and reason. That's it. It's
something that Christians don't normally do.
Not that hard. Just open up your Bible and read. That's why Pastor always says, hey, if you don't believe me, go check. Matter of fact, Pastor tells you, go check his work. Go check. This guy said, hey, if you don't believe me, I know I'm an atheist. There's enough information out there. Go do the research. He even tell you, go do the research. I mean, this guy's putting Christians to shame. I tell you, man, let's keep hearing this logical atheist.
By large orders of magnitude. And the Bible doesn't go out of its way to say those people are doing anything wrong. There's no judgment or condemnation. It's just the way it is. Sometimes God is proud of it. In fact, Jacob had 2 wives and 2 additional slaves, which is another story, who gave him a total of 12 kids. And those 12 kids eventually led the 12 tribes of Israel. God could have punished everyone, but no, he made them powerful. In fact, depending on the circumstances, some men may have multiple wives, sometimes living in the same home, which you would think would get awkward. Now, that part of the Bible, I would love to read. And in case you're wondering,
so
no,
he actually
there are
reads
no
the
examples.
Bible. How is it that we have an atheist that actually reads the Bible? But I think the reason why he's an atheist, he's having a hard time. I don't want to be I gotta believe it's atheist because the people that holds up this Bible, the number one producer of these Bible are Christians. They're the one that act like they're the author, the custodians of the Bible because, yeah, you know what happened? They stole it from our people. The Romans sacked Jerusalem, took all of our artifacts, took all of it, and now it's sitting in the basement of the Vatican at the Roman Catholic headquarters. And then they pick and choose what's in and what's out. And this man's reading this book, and he's just like, man, he actually reads the book, and then he goes and listens to Christians preach, and he's wondering, like, what you're talking about is not in this book. Man, you guys are hypocrites. And then he probably wants to, well, can I be gay? Can we do this? No, that's wrong. You can't do that. Look what it says in the Old Testament. Oh, now you want to bring the Old Testament in. You see that? And so it just, so the way Christians operate, it just opens up to iniquity, just lawlessness. It's like it creates a
confusion.
Confusion, but what's the word I'm looking for? Please, y'all, give me the word. It just creates an environment. That's it. It creates an environment for lawlessness. That's what Christianity do.
Conducive for sin.
Yes. Create an environment for lawlessness, iniquity. But Pastor Dow's told, let's make it clear: lawlessness. Keep playing. This guy, it gets good, guys.
Examples of women with 2 husbands, because the Bible isn't clear about marriage, but it is always clear about men being superior. Levirate marriages. Now things get wild. Sometimes a man dies and his wife didn't have any kids, but she's still the property of his family because she's a woman. Therefore, she has to marry her dead husband's brother. This is called a levirate marriage. It's when a woman marries her brother-in-law in order to get impregnated. Totally normal stuff. Here's where it gets even crazier, though. If you're in a levirate marriage, then your first kid with the brother-in-law is considered the son of the dead husband, not the brother-in-law. Genetics be damned, even though he's the real daddy. And that creates all new problems.
Hey,
you actually see this.
I know to him, this is just information.
Right.
He just literally he's done his due diligence. It may be weird. I mean, you can tell he's like, man, it gets weird, but this is what it says. And he's telling you what's in the book. But if you ask Christianity, they would just act like it doesn't even exist, or they'll just kind of somehow just make it go away. And the guy said, there's nothing in there that says this is wrong. But Christianity will tell you that this is wrong. Pastor Gino Jennings will tell you this is wrong. Pastor Gino will call our women who's in polygynous marriages or relationships, they will tell you that these people are hoes. It's just off the chain. And this guy to him, he's just telling the news, not fake news. He's just telling it based off of his investigation of what he read.
With no bias.
Doesn't mean he agrees with it. He just telling you that's what's in this book. And this is what Christians claim that they follow. I bet you he couldn't do the same thing. If he did a review on Straightway Truth Ministry, he'll say, you know something? They do exactly what the book says. That's what he'll say. I don't agree with it. I think it's crazy. He may say that, but personally, they doing exactly what they say they do. Pastor Dow preaches exactly what the book says. That's what his conclusion will have to be, because he seemed like a very logical, reasonable man. And he's so reasonable, he's so logical and reasonable, he can see the hypocrisy of Christianity. See, Christianities don't think. See, this man at least think for himself. Christianities are the one that's in the cult. Anybody that's a Christian, you are in a cult. You're the one that's just like a zombie. You're just following, and you don't even use your brain or anything. You don't even read. You don't study yourself to show that self-approved. You don't do it. You're just following whatever the pastor say. You don't even know who he's following. See, we follow Pastor Dow according to knowledge and understanding. We don't just follow Pastor blindly. We follow him as he follows Messiah.
Hallelujah.
See, Christians follow their pastors and don't even know who the pastor is following. And you don't know that when you're following your pastor, you're following his wife. 90% of the time, you're following the wife. The wife determines how that church is going to be ran and what's going to be preached and what's going to be acceptable and not acceptable. Yeah, you have a man on stage, but the whole time you have a wife that's controlling that man.
Stage players, actors, hypocrites, brood of vipers. Keep playing.
Play out in Genesis 38. There's a man named who's just straight up killed by God for being wicked. We never find out what he did, except God was mad and murdered him. But that left Ur's wife Tamar in a bad situation because she never had a baby with him. So she's obligated to marry Ur's brother, Onan. But Onan doesn't want to have a baby with her because under the rules, it wouldn't technically be his. So Onan has sex with her, but he pulls out every time. The Bible says he spilled his seed on the ground. And God, who's watching that because he and Jerry Falwell Jr. apparently share the same kink, didn't like it. And so God...
You see that? You see that? But anyway, you guys hear that? You see how you can tell he's not a believer of this book. He just telling you what he reads. He has his own, and he inserts his opinion. But how come Christians can't even get close to what this man is talking about when it comes to the book? I don't agree with him saying this. What did he compare him to? Jerry Falwell? Let me read that again.
So Onan has sex with her, but he pulls out every time. The Bible says he spilled his seed on the ground. And God, who's watching that because he and Jerry Falwell Jr. apparently share the same kink, didn't like it. And so God murdered Onan.
You hear that? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, keep playing.
And then, because we're still talking about a levirate marriage, Tamar is told to just sit tight until the next brother in line is old enough to take Onan's place inside her.
When I was...
Okay.
What's that? A commercial?
The ad, yeah.
Okay. But anyway, guys, I mean, I want to keep, I mean, is there more? I mean, we have more, right?
Yeah. I'm just letting the ad play.
So guys, you can see right here, you have an atheist breaking this thing down. Obviously, you can tell he's literally he's read the book. You can tell he doesn't agree, and I can respect it. I can respect the fact. See, that's when Yeshua says, "I'd rather you are hot or cold, but you're neither. You're lukewarm." And so this man's clearly he's an atheist. If you look up his YouTube, it's called Atheist Friendly or Friendly Atheist or whatever. So this guy, I mean, he can speak the way he's speaking because he's not a hypocrite. He's telling you, I don't believe in this stuff. I think this is all made up. And I'm just telling you what I read. And now he's trying to understand why you Christians keep promoting the Bible, but you don't even do what the book says.
Exactly.
And and Christians, you think Christians will come back and be able to rebuttal this man, but they won't be able to rebuttal this man. We can rebuttal him, but he's not talking to us. He's talking to Christians. But they can't rebuttal it. And then he can now bring in his own wickedness with Skittles or whatever he believes. This is exactly the type of stuff that Christianity creates. This is why I could not be a Christian anymore when I came into the truth. There's no way I could go back. No way. It's a pagan. It's wicked. It's a religion full of hypocrisy. It's the Church of Satan. I'm gonna tell you. Keep playing now. Keep playing.
way, in the book of Ruth, chapter 4, we are told that these levirate marriages don't just involve brothers-in-law, because maybe the dead husband didn't have a brother. Not a problem. The Bible has a solution for that. The closest living relative to a widow must make himself available to her. So sometimes a marriage is really between one man and one woman and one skeleton. You don't see him anymore, but he's still there. Slave marriages. You know how people say you never marry just one person, you really marry their entire family? Well, in the Bible, that could mean that a man marries a woman and her personal slave. Is that polygamy? No, because that would imply that the women have equal value. And there's no way the Bible is going to put a slave at the same level of its owner. Genesis 16 actually tells the story of how Abraham and his wife Sarah could not get pregnant, so she made her slave Hagar marry Abraham so that he could try and impregnate her, even though Sarah would keep the baby. There are all kinds of problems there involving slavery and a lack of consent and technically kidnapping. But guess what? The plan works. Hagar has a baby, and Abraham becomes a father at the young age of 86. Good luck with that. Polygamous concubine marriages. I guess technically you could be in a one-man, one-woman marriage if you just don't count having involuntary side chicks as other wives. Or if you're already polygamist, you've already broken the rules, so what's wrong with a few more concubines in the mix? So if you're King Solomon with multiple wives, then what's wrong with having a concubine too? And if you have one concubine, why not just round up to like 300? King Solomon.
You're not supposed to be laughing, Elder.
But the thing I appreciate this guy, even though he's lost, but the appreciate is that he's bold enough to attack Christianity at the stuff that they say. They sit here and defend something that's undefendable. You can't even defend it.
They condemn other forms of biblical marriage.
Yeah. They nearly condemn what's in this book. So how does this? I mean, and this guy is just looking. He's just a neutral bystander, just listening to this stuff and says, "Wow, you're literally condemning the thing that's in this book." And I read it for myself. I know he's literally showing you that he's read this book. I don't even think most Christians could even cite the things that this man is citing. He's literally telling you what's in this book, the different types of relationships, and all these different things. But Christians will tell you, they'll just somehow Pastor Geno Jennings, he's doing it. What would Pastor Geno Jennings say to this guy?
We can tell he's read the book because he's talking about our laws.
Yes.
About our Torah.
Yeah, he's talking about
would be like, Christians would be like, I didn't even know that was in there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But this guy actually took the time to read. Christians do not read the Bible. They don't. They depend on people who have letters behind their name. Doctors, PhDs, that's who they listen to, but they don't actually go pick up the Bible for themselves, even though you can go pick up the Bible at your local bookstore. You can download it. You can look it online, and they don't read it. They don't read it. They'd rather just hear a pastor tell them what it says in there. And this guy is literally exposing the hypocrisy of Christianity. Keep playing.
Had 700 wives, all of whom, by the way, were royalty, and 300 additional concubines. He wasn't just polygamous, he was like polygamous plus, which makes you wonder how he remembered anniversaries and what the heck he did all day, because that's gotta be exhausting. Actually, I should say, God was upset with Solomon about those 1,000 wives or half wives, but not because of the number. God was angry because some of the women were foreigners, and the Christian God hates outsiders, mostly because he worries that...
I'm sorry, but he isn't the Christian God. He's the God of the Israelites.
I know that. I know. But you hear what he's saying?
But he's obviously associated to Christianity.
Yeah, that's what he's hearing from. But listen, but he even knew that that God wasn't mad at Solomon because of the multiple women, but because he married foreign women who turned their heart away from God. I'm like, this guy's going into the deep. I know he's read it. That's all I know. Yeah. I know he's read it, and he just, he's saying it from his interpretation, his lens. But What does Christians have to say about this guy? The guy is clearly saying, I haven't read it. Prove to this atheist that what you're saying is true. Prove to him.
He's not coming from a Sunday school teacher, a Sunday school like level.
He's coming from an atheist perspective, guys. This, if you guys are just coming, this is coming from an atheist perspective, not a Hebrew perspective. Not this is an atheist who took the time to read the Bible, to hear what Christianity said about marriage, and when he picked up the book, he saw something totally different. I hope he sees this. Maybe he said, wow, maybe there is something out there I can believe in. Maybe this whole time I was a Hebrew. Maybe all I knew about the Bible, it came from Christians. I knew nothing about the Israelites. I knew nothing about straightway. Maybe this guy may hear this thing. It may change his whole world. And now he may say, I was an atheist, but now I'm an Israelite. I'm a follower of Yeshua HaMashiach. Maybe. I don't know. But let's keep hearing what this guy's saying.
They might convince Solomon to worship a false god. Solomon wasn't alone either. David had at least 10 concubines. Rehoboam, the first king of the tribe of Judah, had 18 wives and 60 concubines. Several other Bible characters had at least one concubine. It's just a thing they did. So sometimes marriage can be between one man and one woman, and maybe another woman, and maybe 3 additional women, and as many concubines as he can round up.
Okay. Deacon, what do you think? Why this is going commercial? What do you think about this stuff? Are you hearing? I mean, are you guys listening to this guy? This is atheist, guys. I'm telling you, this. I don't know. I mean, I'm surprised he's read the Bible and to get into it that deep, because you'll be hard pressed to find a Christian that will actually go into the book and be able to know the things that this man's talking about and be honest. I mean, how does a guy that's not God fearing? I mean, this man's putting them to shame.
Because he's using the same. I mean, when you think about at least the way that he's approaching the Bible, we as men, especially, we're logical and rational, right? We use reasoning and logic, right? And so when we're reading the Bible from that aspect as well. And so Christianity is almost like the feminine side. So how do you make a woman? Remove logic and reasoning. And now you have a woman.
And we got Antonio Green here. He says, I guess he's saying this guy believes in the Big Bang Theory, and he probably does. I don't know what he believes.
He believes in.
He's an atheist. But guess what? That atheist, a guy that believes in Big Bang Theory, the guy picked up the Bible, read it, and guys, mind you,
unfortunately, he's more honorable than most Christians.
Exactly. And guys, he didn't say he believes this stuff. He thinks this is hocus pocus. All he's saying is, I'm just telling you what I read. I'm giving you my bias, but I'm just telling you what I read. This is how I interpret it. What am I missing here? And then you look at Christians and see what they're doing, and they're not following this book. They're not preaching this thing. They're preaching something totally different. That's why we can say that we believe in biblical marriage. We don't need to say polygyny. We say biblical marriage, because biblical marriage, we believe in all aspects that everything he's mentioned so far, from the Levirate law to, ward, bride, all of these different, that's what we believe in biblical marriage. Biblical marriage is not just one man, one woman only. It's not. Traditional marriage is commandments for men. Biblical marriage is way more diverse, way more intricate in different scenarios. Are you ready to play that stuff?
Yes, I'll be.
Okay, play it. Finish it. We'll finish this out.
Military marriages. There are passages in the Bible describing battles in which men and children are killed, and the women are captured and handed over to the men who won the battle as the spoils of war. Deuteronomy even talks about how those women, after a little time to mourn, were obligated to become wives to the men who killed their husbands and submit sexually, whether they wanted to or not. Like, it just goes from bad to worse for those victims.
And he's throwing his little opinions in there, but guess what is in there? It's in there. These are the stuff that you will read if you open up the book.
Marriages. This one's just disturbing. The Bible says that a single woman who gets raped is obligated to marry the man who assaulted her, which means a man who wants to get married can quite literally stalk his prey and go after her, and she would have no say in the matter. The men might have to pay her father, but that's the only other rule. That counts as marriage. If there's any silver lining to this, which I know there really isn't, it's that the same list of rules says the men are not allowed to divorce those victims they marry, which sounds okay, I guess.
See, once again, you can see he's putting his sarcasm in there and things of that nature, but he's just going off what he read, and he's asserting his sarcasm, his opinions, and things of that nature. But he's right in there. And even to the intricate of saying that, I don't even know how he's remembering all this stuff, but even to know that once you do that, you can't divorce that woman. You lose the right. A man has a right to give his woman a bill of divorce. But in this situation, if he end up taking this woman who was not betrothed or who was not married, and he end up laying with her, and he loses the right to give this woman a bill of divorce. I don't care how bad she is. He has to keep her because the way he got into it.
Yeah.
And it's really up to the father too, right? It's really up to the father because the father can forbid it, but he has to still pay the bride price. But all of this stuff Christianity will be against. But I'm not ashamed of our culture. I'm not ashamed of biblical marriage. I'm not even apologetic. But this was in there. But Christianity wants to cover up and really get us more into a Roman culture. In the Roman Greco culture, if you look up the Roman Greco, it's more in line with the traditional marriage of how they see marriage. They see marriage from a Roman Greco culture. Keep playing.
You realize that means there's no way for the women to escape. Slave marriages.
Okay.
Here's the last category of
keep playing.
biblical marriages. When a slave owner decides to play matchmaker for two of his slaves. These people already had no control over their lives, and now they're being thrown into marriages too. You can bet the women did not have veto power. And those marriages don't exactly have divorces either. But if the slave owner decided to sell a male slave who happened to be married, guess what? The marriage is over. Goodbye to the man, and the woman will be forced to marry someone else later on. Notice that I didn't even get into the weird implied incestuous marriages, like the ones between Adam and Eve's boys and the women who just magically appeared out of nowhere. Or the marriage between one man and a pillar of salt. Or the marriage between one man and whatever grows out of his rib. Or the marriage between one man and a child, which is something.
So anyway,
yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And I'm gonna finish it because you don't have to. You can go back and watch if you want to. But there was one aspect where he brought in. Now, what about same-sex marriages in this? Because Christianity is so strong, gun-ho about traditional marriage, and anything outside that is a sin. Just you heard Pastor Gino Jennings, you've heard a lot of pastors, Christian people saying it's a sin if you're doing polygyny, things of that nature, or any other forms of biblical marriage. They call it a sin if it's not the one man, one woman only. And so this guy goes in and says, well, what about this? But then now you want to go back to the Old Testament. So he makes a good argument. And so I would love to see a Christian, okay, if you won't at least battle Pastor Dow and Brother Pete Rambo, then talk to this guy. You could say he's not a believer and try to see because he doesn't follow the Bible, but he knows what's in that book. Prove to him that traditional marriage is biblical marriage.